National Caffeine Awareness Month. Even though most soda doesn't have as much caffeine as coffee or some tea, this caffeinated carbonated beverage can have some serious health effects.
Now to this consumer alert. Coca-Cola has recalled nearly 2,000 cases of Diet Coke, Sprite, and Fanta Orange because they could contain foreign material. The recalled 12-packs were sold in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. Coca-Cola says the recalled soda has been pulled from shelves, but customers who may have the recalled products at home are urged to throw them out.
America's love of soda is going flat.
It's not a drink that you're going to drink all day anymore. Now it's a drink that you'll indulge in when it makes sense.
New data from Beverage Digest shows soda consumption in the U.S. is the lowest since the firm started keeping records back in 1985.
There's a growing number of consumers who want to control their sugar intake.
A choice about health for many, also becoming a matter of money for some.
Walk into a store in Lagos, Nairobi, or Accra today and you'll notice something surprising. The shelves are still full of soda, but many of the bottles people are reaching for are no longer American. For decades, U.S. soda brands dominated Africa's streets, parties, and everyday life. Their logos were everywhere, their ads shaped pop culture. It felt permanent, untouchable. But something has changed, and it's happening faster than most people realize. Across Africa, consumers are quietly switching. Local brands are rising. Prices, taste, identity, and economics are all playing a role. And while this shift may look small on the surface, the impact behind the scenes is massive. Because when a continent of over 1 billion people starts choosing differently, global brands feel it in profits, influence, and long-term strategy. So the real question isn't whether U.S. soda brands are losing Africa. It's why and what this shift says about Africa's growing economic power. Stay with me because this story is about much more than soda. Walk into a store in Lagos, Nairobi, or Accra today and you'll notice something surprising. The shelves are still full of soda, but many of the bottles people are reaching for are no longer American. For decades, U.S. soda brands dominated Africa's streets, parties, and everyday life. Their logos were everywhere. Their ads shaped pop culture. It felt permanent, untouchable. But something has changed, and it's happening faster than most people realize. Across Africa, consumers are quietly switching. Local brands are rising. Prices, taste, identity, and economics are all playing a role. And while this shift may look small on the surface, the impact behind the scenes is massive. Because when a continent of over 1 billion people starts choosing differently, global brands feel it in profits, influence, and long-term strategy. So the real question isn't whether U.S. soda brands are losing Africa. It's why and what this shift says about Africa's growing economic power. Stay with me because this story is about much more than soda. Main script integrated 3500 words for decades. American soda brands were more than just drinks in Africa. They were symbols of globalization, modern lifestyle, and Western influence. From street corners in Lagos to roadside shops in Nairobi, from school celebrations in Accra to weddings in Johannesburg, U.S. soda brands were everywhere. Their red, blue, and silver logos became part of daily life. Many people grew up believing these brands would always dominate Africa's beverage market. But today, something unexpected is happening. Quietly, steadily, and across multiple countries, U.S. soda brands are losing ground in Africa. This is not a sudden collapse, and it is not driven by one government decision. Instead, it is the result of millions of small choices made every day by African consumers' choices that are reshaping an entire industry. To understand this shift, we need to go back to how American soda brands became so powerful in Africa in the first place. During the late 20th century, U.S. companies entered African markets aggressively. They brought large-scale bottling plants, wide distribution networks, and heavy advertising. Their products were consistent, affordable, and widely available. At a time when local alternatives were limited, these brands filled a gap. Advertising played a huge role. American soda brands didn't just sell drinks. They sold emotions, happiness, friendship, celebration. Their ads featured music, sports, youth culture, and global stars. For many young Africans, drinking these sodas felt like being connected to the wider world. For years, the strategy worked perfectly. Market dominance grew, brand loyalty formed, profits flowed. But markets evolve, and Africa has been changing faster than many global corporations expected. One of the biggest reasons U.S. soda brands are losing Africa is cost. Inflation, currency fluctuations, and rising production expenses have pushed prices upward. In many African countries, local currencies have weakened against the dollar. That means imported ingredients, machinery, and licensing fees have become more expensive. As a result, American-branded sodas often cost more than locally produced alternatives. For consumers facing higher food prices, transport costs, and rent, even a small price difference matters. When people can buy a local soda for less and still enjoy the taste, loyalty begins to shift. Taste itself is another major factor. African consumers are not a single group with identical preferences. Tastes vary by region, culture, and climate. Local beverage companies have become very good at tailoring flavors to local palates. Ginger drinks, hibiscus-based beverages, malt drinks, fruit sodas, and herbal mixes resonate deeply with cultural traditions. Many younger consumers now see local drinks as more authentic. They associate them with home, identity, and pride. In contrast, American sodas are increasingly viewed as generic, the same everywhere, offering little connection to local culture. Health awareness is also changing the game. Across Africa, conversations about sugar consumption, diabetes, and lifestyle diseases are growing. Governments, health organizations, and social media influencers are talking more openly about nutrition. U.S. soda brands, often associated with high sugar content, are feeling the impact. While they have introduced low sugar and zero sugar options, skepticism remains. Local brands, especially those using natural ingredients or traditional recipes, are benefiting from the perception of being healthier even when the difference is small. There is also a deeper economic story at play. Many African governments are actively encouraging local production. Policies that support domestic manufacturing, reduce imports, and promote small and medium enterprises are becoming more common. Local beverage companies create jobs, keep profits within the country, and strengthen supply chains. Consumers are increasingly aware of this. Buying local is no longer just about price. It's about supporting the economy. For a growing middle class and politically aware youth population, choosing a local soda can feel like a statement. Distribution networks have also shifted. In the past, U.S. brands had unmatched logistics power. Today, local companies are catching up and in some cases outperforming them. Local producers understand informal markets, rural distribution, and last-mile delivery better. They can adapt quickly to disruptions, shortages, and changes. In demand, technology has accelerated this transformation. Social media allows local brands to market directly to consumers without massive advertising budgets. A viral campaign, a popular musician endorsement, or a regional trend can boost a local soda brand overnight. American soda companies, built for scale and consistency, often move slower. Their marketing strategies are global, carefully controlled, and sometimes disconnected from local realities. In fast-changing African markets, speed and cultural relevance matter. Another important factor is youth identity. Africa is the youngest continent in the world. Millions of young people are shaping new cultural trends in music, fashion, language, and consumption. This generation is less impressed by legacy brands simply because they are global. Instead, young Africans are drawn to brands that feel personal, bold, and local. They want products that reflect their own stories, humor, and values. Local soda brands are tapping into this energy, while U.S. brands sometimes struggle to sound authentic. There is also growing awareness of corporate behavior. Global conversations about fairness, pricing, and profit repatriation influence perception. Some consumers question how much value multinational corporations leave behind compared to what they extract. Local brands, even when imperfect, are often seen as more accountable. Their owners live in the same communities as their customers. Their success feels shared, not distant. This shift does not mean U.S. soda brands are disappearing from Africa. They still have strong presence, massive infrastructure, and loyal customers. But dominance is not the same as permanence. Market share is being challenged and growth is slowing in key regions. From a business perspective, this trend forces difficult questions. Should American soda companies localize more aggressively? Should they adjust pricing, ingredients, and branding? Should they partner more deeply with African entrepreneurs rather than relying on traditional franchising models? From Africa's perspective, this moment represents something larger than beverages. It reflects a broader pattern of economic self-confidence. Across sectors from food to fashion to technology, African producers are proving they can compete. Soda may seem small, but it is a powerful symbol. It is a daily purchase, a cultural staple, and a mass-market product. When local brands win here, it sends a message that resonates far beyond drinks. The global beverage industry is watching closely. What happens in Africa today often predicts trends elsewhere tomorrow. A population that chooses local demands relevance and values. Economic impact reshapes how global companies operate. For U.S. soda brands, the path forward is not confrontation but adaptation. Understanding Africa not as a single market but as a mosaic of cultures and economies is essential. Listening rather than assuming will determine future success. For African consumers, the power of choice has never been clearer. Each bottle purchase sends a signal about taste, identity, and priorities. And collectively, those signals are impossible to ignore. Africa is not rejecting the world, it is redefining its place in it. The soda aisle is simply one of the clearest places where that transformation is visible. The global soda market has always been emotional because it touches everything: daily life, culture, and social connection. When new players assert themselves, emotions rise not because change is dangerous but because it challenges long-standing habits. Perhaps that is the real takeaway. Africa's rise in this market is about more than beverages. It is about identity, economic agency, and self-determination. It reflects a world where influence is no longer inherited by global prestige alone, but earned through strategy, relevance, and community alignment. History shows that global systems never remain static. They expand, contract, and rearrange themselves as new realities emerge. We are living through one of those moments now. The question is not who will lose, but who will adapt. As the dust settles, the impact of today's consumer decisions will ripple quietly through brands, industries, and future negotiations. Africa will keep building, local businesses will keep innovating, and the global beverage industry will need to listen, learn, and evolve. 700-word emotional outro integrated as this story comes to a close, it's worth pausing to reflect on what this quiet shift really means. This isn't just a business trend hidden in sales reports or market charts. It's a reflection of confidence, the kind that grows when people realize their choices matter. Across Africa, millions of everyday decisions are reshaping outcomes that once felt fixed. A student choosing a local soda after class, a family stocking their fridge with a brand they recognize from home, a shop owner prioritizing products that move faster and support local suppliers. None of these actions feel revolutionary on their own, but together they create momentum that global corporations cannot ignore. For decades, power in global consumer markets flowed in one direction. Big brands decided, consumers adapted. Today, that relationship is changing. African consumers are no longer passive recipients of what the world offers. They are active participants, shaping demand based on price, taste, identity, and values. This shift carries emotional weight because it represents something deeper than beverages. It signals belief in local creativity, local production, and local potential. It shows a growing willingness to trust homegrown solutions rather than assuming quality must come from abroad. For American soda brands, this moment is not a failure, it is a test of flexibility, a test of humility, and a test of whether global companies can truly listen to the markets they serve. Those that adapt, localize, and respect consumer realities will remain relevant. Those that cling to old assumptions may slowly fade from everyday life. Africa's story here is not about rejection, it's about selection. Choosing what fits best, choosing what feels right, choosing what supports the future people want to build. And that future is being shaped right now, not in boardrooms thousands of miles away, but in shops, markets, and neighborhoods across the continent. The soda aisle has become a small but powerful mirror of Africa's economic awakening. As global attention continues to focus on Africa's growth, one lesson stands out clearly. Influence today is earned, not inherited. Brands, nations, and industries must compete not just on scale, but on relevance and respect. What we're witnessing is not the end of global brands in Africa, it's the end of guaranteed dominance. And, in its place is something far more dynamic, a market driven by choice, confidence, and rising local power. Additional 1000-word continuation integrated. For many global brands, Africa has often been seen as a market of potential, waiting for investments to pay off. But what is happening now is more than potential. It is action. Local businesses are thriving, and consumers are showing that they will no longer accept a market dominated solely by multinational corporations. The choices of consumers in Lagos, Johannesburg, Accra, and Nairobi are beginning to ripple across the continent. Local soda producers have been innovating for years. They understand their communities' tastes and economic realities by creating flavors that resonate culturally and pricing their products to be accessible. These companies are slowly capturing loyalty that was once thought unshakable. Their marketing is agile, often leveraging social media, music, and sports to connect authentically with young consumers. Unlike global giants that rely on long campaigns and standardized approaches, local brands move quickly, responding to trends almost in real time. This agility is reshaping competition. U.S. soda brands have to contend not only with price differences but with emotional connections. Consumers are increasingly aware of the value of supporting homegrown businesses. When a young person chooses a local soda, it is more than taste. It is pride, identity, and economic participation. These small daily choices accumulate to significant shifts in market dynamics. Infrastructure and distribution also play a role. Local brands often have intimate knowledge of local supply chains, informal markets, and regional preferences. This allows them to reach areas that global brands sometimes overlook or cannot serve cost-effectively. Rural and semi-urban regions in particular are seeing increased access to locally produced beverages, strengthening brand loyalty in communities that historically relied on imports. Technology is a catalyst. Digital marketing allows local brands to communicate directly with their audience, creating engagement that feels personal. Viral campaigns, influencer partnerships, and interactive social media challenges foster a sense of community around a brand. Global corporations, tied to traditional advertising and slower bureaucratic processes, often struggle to match this immediacy and intimacy. Health awareness is another driver. African consumers are increasingly questioning sugar content and ingredient sourcing, motivated by education and social media. Discussions. Local soda producers are capitalizing on this trend by introducing options that are perceived as healthier, using natural ingredients or emphasizing traditional flavors. While American brands offer low-sugar versions, they are often perceived as less authentic or less aligned with local tastes. Economic policy also shapes markets. Governments promoting local manufacturing, job creation, and investment in domestic industries indirectly incentivize consumers to purchase local products. U.S. brands, while influential, navigate increasingly complex regulatory and economic landscapes that favor local enterprise growth. Youth culture remains a key driver. Africa has the youngest population in the world, and this demographic is defining new trends in consumption, entertainment, and lifestyle. Young consumers are attracted to brands that feel authentic and representative of their values. Local soda brands have tapped into this energy through culturally resonant marketing, partnerships with local artists, and campaigns that reflect community stories. Perception of corporate responsibility matters too. Local brands, even if smaller, are seen as accountable to their communities. Global brands can be perceived as distant entities extracting profit without equivalent local reinvestment. This perception, accurate or not, shapes buying behavior. The broader implication is clear. Africa is asserting agency in the consumer market. It is signaling that local relevance, cultural alignment, and economic participation are as important as global prestige. Each purchase is part of a larger narrative about self-determination and empowerment. For U.S. soda companies, these developments present both a challenge and an opportunity. Adaptation is critical. Understanding local markets in depth, collaborating with domestic partners, customizing flavors, pricing strategically, and engaging meaningfully with communities can help maintain relevance. Global dominance is no longer guaranteed by size or heritage. It requires responsiveness, respect, and local insight. This market shift is not confined to soda. It signals a broader trend in Africa. Local enterprise is rising, and consumer choice is increasingly informed and influential. Other sectors, food, fashion, technology, and entertainment, are experiencing similar dynamics. Companies that underestimate Africa's market intelligence risk losing share to nimble, culturally attuned competitors. The story of soda brands losing ground is therefore a microcosm of a larger continental transformation. Africa is not passive. It is shaping its own markets and influencing global business strategies. The choices of millions of consumers, multiplied over time, are restructuring how international brands operate and compete. Ultimately, this is a story of empowerment. It is about people choosing products that align with their identity, values, and vision for the future. Africa is not rejecting the world. It is asserting its priorities. And in doing so, it is sending a powerful message. Relevance is earned through respect, cultural alignment, and responsiveness to the people a brand serves. This ongoing shift invites reflection for global corporations and observers alike. Success in Africa will no longer be defined by heritage or marketing budgets alone, but by understanding, engagement, and authentic connection. For consumers, it is an opportunity to influence markets, support local growth, and participate actively in shaping the continent's economic future. As Africa continues to rise, the lessons extend far beyond soda aisles. They speak to the power of choice, the impact of culture, and the importance of listening to the voices that matter most, those of everyday consumers whose decisions drive real change.